Cell division. You may know it plays a pretty big part in the basis of life. Cells divide for growth, repair, and reproduction. But when do they know when to stop dividing? I mean, that's the point at which we die. So, if they didn't, could we conceivably live forever? And how could this, as an individual, benefit our genes spreading throughout the human race? First, let's look at how cells divide. The DNA in your cells has one start codon and three stop codons to specify which part of the DNA should be copied for the cell division. This occurs during interphase. Interphase is consisting of three parts: the G1, growth 1 phase, the S phase, DNA synthesis, and the G2 phase, growth 2. After this, mitosis begins. Mitosis consists of about 6 stages. The first stage of mitosis is prophase, where chromosomes double. Next is prometaphase. This is when the nucleus dissolves and microtubules attach to centromeres on the chromosomes. Then metaphase begins and the chromosomes align in the middle of the cell. After metaphase comes anaphase, and the chromosomes begin to separate and pull apart towards opposite ends of the cell. The next stage is telophase, where microtubules disappear and cell division is almost complete. The very last step to completing the process is cytokinesis. During cytokinesis, a cytoplasm splits and two daughter cells are formed. Mitosis is primarily used for growth and development, repair, and asexual reproduction. And to see a more detailed explanation, Bozeman Science did a great job explaining how it works. Another great video to check out is by Cheryl Van Buskirk. She does a great job explaining a perfect example of how cancer cells lack certain components which mess up their whole cell division process. So now that you know the basics on how cells divide, let's look at what makes them stop dividing. Sure, there are factors such as diet, exercise, environmental stress that can affect how long you'll live, but there's also more biological components. When a cell divides, the process isn't perfect. Each time it's replicated, the ends of the chromosome's DNA is skipped and not copied. So how is it that our cells are still able to function even with this lost DNA? Well, on the end of chromosomes are telomeres. These are just meaningless repeats of DNA that can be lost without any harm resulting. Every time a cell divides, part of the telomere is lost until it's eventually all gone. Once it's gone, the cell stops dividing. The point at which cells stop dividing is called cellular senescence. Humans have a replication limit of about 50 times. When our cells reach cellular senescence, they begin to lose their function and die. In turn, we start to express characteristics related to aging. Watch ASAP Science's video, The Science of Aging. It'll explain how life expectancy is a strongly heritable trait. Alright, so now that we know how and why cells start and stop dividing, let's look at how this could lead us to possibly live forever. I watched a video by Vsauce titled How Old Can We Get? It shared a great deal of information about senescence. Senescence is a more broad term that refers to how much time we specifically have left. This time has become longer and longer for humans as the years have gone on because of all the technological advances. The oldest documented record of a person living was Jeanne Clement from France. She was born in 1875 and lived to be 122 years old. But since technology has advanced so far, the first person who will live to be 150 years old has been predicted to already have been born. Now let's look at something called negligible senescence. Negligible senescence is basically the scientific term for biological mortality. It's actually a great article that you should go check out. Meanwhile, let's look at some animals that possess this trait. While being observed, some animals didn't express any signs of aging. There's actually a couple great examples of this. For instance, the hydra is a small, simple freshwater animal. It can only die of accidents, predators, or disease. Another good example of negligible senescence is the world's oldest recorded tree. It's called the Methuselah tree and is over 4,600 years old. It's located somewhere in Methuselah Grove, but the government won't actually disclose its exact location in fear of someone hurting it. Another instance of negligible senescence is found in some flatworms. Some flatworms are actually able to regenerate telomeres on the end of their chromosomes, but one of the best examples of negligible senescence is the Turritopsis nutricula. The Turritopsis nutricula is a type of jellyfish that undergoes transdifferentiation after mating and reverts back to juvenile form. It's the only known species to develop the unique ability to return to a polyp state. Scientists believe that the jellyfish could go through this process indefinitely, granting it biological immortality. Another way an organism could live for a long time is through clonal colonies. An easy to understand example of this is trees that share a root system. Pando is a network of trees that share a root system and is actually just one organism. It's located in Utah and is estimated to be about 80,000 years old. Now that we've talked about how long we can live, let's see how this can benefit the spreading of our genes. Vsauce had another excellent video by the title of We Are All Related that I pulled a lot of information from. It said that scientists have concluded that everyone living on the earth at this exact moment are at least 50th cousins with each other. In fact, if you're of the same ethnicity and from the same country as your spouse, there's a 1 in 5 chance that you both shared a common family member less than 10 generations ago. In a recent study, it's been found that the most recent common ancestor to everyone living on Earth right now probably lived 2,000 to 4,000 years ago. You should go read more about it. It also stated that there most likely was a person alive as early as 300 BC that is a common ancestor to everyone living today. They probably lived near Taiwan, near a busy port city where they could distribute their genetic information fairly quickly and widely. With genes in mind, it's also a possibility distant ancestors could have made no contribution to your genome, since 50% of your genetic information is from your mother and 50% is from your father. Lastly, if cells are always being replaced, you technically weren't the same person you were before because atoms are also being replaced. There's an article on AskANaturalist.com that concludes that different types of cells are replaced at different rates, or even sometimes never replaced. In an article by Time magazine, it's believed that in 1 year, 98% of the atoms that make up your body right now will be completely replaced. Vsauce used a great example to convey just how large of a number this is. Each cell in your body contains 100,000 times more atoms than there are stars in the Milky Way galaxy. To put it in an even more awe-inspiring perspective, your body contains more atoms than there are known stars in the universe. So since we all share the same atoms and we can pass genetic information down to our offspring, humans could conceivably live forever.